enjoy playing golf with him. But my vote is with him because of what, his policies promote. Now, so here we have two ideas here. Donald Trump stands for some things which this gentleman seems to like, but he doesn't like certain aspects of his behavior. And I want us to think a bit about that. How do you, manage a situation where you like the policies of the leader, but you don't like, you don't like the character of the person. Just a small technical point here. I'm just trying to fix something on this. All right, then the elections came. And obviously, as we all know, Donald Trump doesn't make it. So here we are, Donald Trump loses the elections, and we come back to discuss the issue. And he writes this to me. After certain things that I've said about character and so on, he says, I agree that Trump's attitude and personality was not the best for a leader, but his policies were right for America and for the rest of the world. This election was about personality, not policy. There are many Democrats that liked his policies and achievements, but voted against his personality. His arrogance was unpalatable to me, and that is what he lost the vote on. Lots of votes were cast to spite him, and he is the one to blame. Now, this is a world leader, a world-class leader who has vision, but he loses, and this is what one of his key supporters or strong supporters observes. He has good policies, but he has a character that I don't think I can even want to play golf with. Now, this is where we need to examine, this is where we need to examine the role of character in leadership. You may have the most brilliant idea, but what character carries that idea? And I have a small video again on Donald Trump that I believe is on the circulating on the social media. So some of you may have seen it. I just want to play this because there is all that we are going to say. This illustrated perfectly well. So. By the way, do you hear the sound? Anybody can say yes. Can you hear the sound?
No, please.
No.
Okay, let me try again. Do you hear the sound?
No, please.
No
it's
sound,
no.
right? Okay,
Yes.
so let me just try to share computer sound, and let me start.
Donald Trump shows clear signs of the most severe personality disorder.
Yeah, it's working now.
Narcissism. Okay. It was first introduced by Erich Fromm, who escaped the Nazis and spent a lot of his life trying to understand the psychology of evil. And he formulated this diagnosis of malignant narcissism, which has 4 components: narcissism, paranoia, antisocial personality disorder, and sadism. I think everybody knows Donald Trump's a narcissist by now.
I will be the greatest jobs producer that God ever created. I know more about ISIS than the generals do, believe me.
Who are you consulting with consistently so that you're ready on day one?
I'm speaking with myself, number one, because I have a very good brain.
But it's the other 3 components that make him truly dangerous, because many politicians are narcissistic, but he's also paranoid. So all of his crazy conspiracy theories.
The state of Hawaii released my official long-form birth certificate.
The birth certificate was produced in 2011. You continued to tell the story and question the president's legitimacy in 2012, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah. How about this one about Ted Cruz's father?
His father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald being shot, and nobody even brings it up.
And his sense of being a victim.
Mr. Trump turned his sights on Google, tweeting, "They have it rigged for me and others so that almost all stories and news is bad."
And his demonization of anyone who disagrees with him.
Nasty guy. Now I know why he doesn't have.
John,
Nasty guy.
These are all signs of a paranoid process. Antisocial personality disorder, or what used to be called psychopathy or sociopathy. It's constant lying. Well, he's the most documented liar in human history, I think. Not paying your bills or defrauding people through Trump University, be an example of exploiting other people. And it's breaking laws and breaking norms. Well, he's broken every norm of the presidency. That's one of the reasons he's so out of control. There are certain norms he thought no one would ever break. But it's part of his personality disorder to break norms and to break laws. And it's a lack of remorse. He has no guilt or anxiety about the destructive things that he does.
Impeachment for that? It was beautiful. It was just a perfect conversation.
And the fourth component that Eric Fromm identified is sadism, truly taking pleasure in harming, humiliating, and degrading other human beings. If you read his tweets, I wrote an introduction to a book about his tweets. I had to read thousands of his tweets, and they literally made me ill because it was just one vicious attack on and humiliating insult after another, after another. It's like, how can someone even come up with thousands of vicious things to say about so many people? But he enjoys degrading and humiliating and insulting other people.
I do think that we have enough evidence that most psychiatrists would feel like it's important to warn about Trump. We have a duty to warn.
All right. I believe we all had a video. We saw it, right?
yes, please. We're there.
Yes, please.
Okay, because I need to just be sure that we are communicating. All right.
Yeah.
So here we are with the President of the United States, and this is part of the diagnosis. And maybe some of us will think that, oh, maybe that is only Donald Trump. But some of the things that are talked about in this video are manifest in so many of us as leaders. So many of us to a degree, as somebody has said, you know, all of us have a madness. It's just a level, it's a degree to which, you know, depending on the degree before they take you to the psychiatrist. But every leader has to have a certain kind of, you know, personality which enables him to be able to achieve the things they have to achieve. And their personality may not always be, you know, totally whole. Now, Pope Francis, you know, discussed with his team about the quality of leadership at the time, and he came up with what he called the 15 diseases of leadership. And I've just posted them out there. Just want you to take a look at them. The 15, thinking we are immortal, we are immune, excessive busyness, mental and emotional, you know, petrification. You know, this creates heartlessness, excessive planning and functionalism, you know, which leads us to inflexibility sometimes as leaders, poor coordination, which forces independence and lack of cooperation. You know, this is my role, that is your role, we don't have to work together. Poor leadership as Alzheimer's disease, okay? That is where leaders forget who nurtured and mentored them, and they move on. Rivalry and vainglory, existential schizophrenia. This is where leaders have hypocritical and double lives, gossiping, grumbling, and backbiting. idolizing superiors. Do we see this all around us? That people go to lick the boots of people, indifference to others, which makes us so, wicked towards one another. And, downcast face, where leaders treat their inferiors with so severity. Do we sometimes do that? Hoarding, which involves accumulating material goods and, seeking security in material things. And I've been in corporate world and I see how chief executives are asking for all the perks of the world just for themselves and forgetting the others. Then there's closed circles where leaders place their cliques and their cliques ahead of others, and extravagance and self-exhibition. We see this all the time. Power and power over and over and over. Now, I've done this for us to just focus on ourselves as leaders and people who are interested in leadership, to just reflect a bit on where we are as leaders. And whenever we are pointing fingers at others and their character defects as leaders, to reflect about ourselves and see this list and see where or which of these manifests in our lives. Now, all this goes to show and underscore the importance of character in leadership. John C. Maxwell has said, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. All the definitions of leadership that you can think of come back to your ability to get people to follow you. So if you are going to do that, it is your character that is going to be able to influence others. Now, I've never in all my life heard that there is an organization that will say that, oh, we have too many leaders. The problem we have here is we have too many leaders. No, the world needs more leaders and we need better leaders. Africa needs more leaders. We need better leaders. Our homes need better leaders. Our churches need better leaders. Our organization need better leaders. But how do we get better leaders? How do we influence the world? Every day we are influencing somebody. You may not know how you are influencing them, but your investment in influencing somebody today is what is going to determine the future. Now, as leaders, we are almost all the time focused on the people who are following us. And that's good. We want to get people somewhere. But we forget that the first word in the word leadership is the leader. The first person, when you go into the plane and they explain how sometimes in the flight there can be depressurization and there's some oxygen masks under your seat, and take it and wear it and so on, then they will tell you, before you help somebody else, first fit your mask first before you help somebody. They even say if you want to help your child, fix your mask first before you help your child. What does that tell us? It tells us that leading ourselves, self-leadership, is the most important factor in leadership, because people buy into the leader first before they buy into your vision. You may have a great vision, but where credibility is missing, that vision will not fly with people. And that is where character comes in. The reality of things is that it is more difficult to lead ourselves than to lead us others. Actually, when we do some things wrong, when we make bad choices, we excuse ourselves and we judge ourselves by a lower standard. What is the lower standard we judge ourselves? We judge ourselves by our motives, but we judge other people by their actions. So you drive on the street and you move into one lane sharply without indicating, and then you excuse yourself. You expect all the other drivers to forgive you because in your mind you are in a hurry to take your sick daughter to the doctor, and so you had to rush through it. But if somebody did the same thing to you in traffic, you only see their actions and you judge them and condemn them and you say all sort of unspeakable words. On the roads in Ghana, you hear all sort of words that I cannot repeat on this platform. Why? Because we are judging others by their action and we judge ourselves by our motives. That is a lower standard. If we can merge the two and look at ourselves, look at our actions and our motive just the same way we judge others, we can become better. So character is very important. Why is it important? Because leadership relies on good character. Okay, that is what creates trust. It's character that creates trust. Your talent will be protected by your character. I've seen amazing executives in my life, but who were not able to make progress in their professional career because of their character. And internal peace is fostered by it. If you have good character, if you lived your life with credibility and honesty and did everything right, when you go to bed, you sleep, okay? But those of us who are leading our lives, fake lives, every time you're worried that you're going to be caught. Character has nothing to do with our intelligence. We can be very, very, very smart and intelligent people, but it is about the choices we make. In fact, I heard long ago that there are some mistakes that only intelligent people commit, okay? So we as leaders can be smart, can be intelligent, but we can make poor choices. And that is where character comes in. So what constitutes character as far as leadership is concerned? Great leaders embrace 4 dimensions of character. And this is what I would like to share with you and make a few comments, and then we are open for discussions. All right. First is authenticity. Second, self-leadership. Third, humility. And 4 is courage. I will just discuss this briefly. We can have a full course on each of these, but I'll just summarize this one by just giving you a few quotes on each of them. Authenticity. John C. Maxwell says, none of us is flawless. Good people do bad things. Smart people do dumb things. We all find ourselves in moments where we feel tempted to do things we know in our hearts isn't right, and we've all veered off. Sharing that with others is authenticity, pardon my typos. Now, what authenticity means is that, you know, sometimes we as leaders want to project just the good. We just want to show that we are strong. We just want to show we do the right thing. It's just like the teacher who says that, you know, when he was in school, he had once, and expect all the children to have one. And one day his son, digging through the papers, found a report of his father, who was a teacher, and found that actually there were several F's in it, but the father has projected all along that when he was a student, he was a brilliant student, hiding his other side. And sometimes leaders are like that. We are torn between whether we should show our vulnerability or not. Because if we show vulnerability, then people will say we are weak. But true character, leaders, great leaders who have true character are willing to admit that they are human, that they don't know it all, that they also make mistakes, that they can understand that others can make mistakes. See, the danger when you project only your good and your strength is that when others make mistakes, you don't want to admit that it is possible to make a mistake because you have always projected to be Mr. Right. And that is one key dimension of character that is required in leadership. The second dimension, self-leadership. Character is built on managing yourself well. Ruth Haley Barton says, we set young leaders up for a fall if we encourage them to envision what they can do before they consider the kind of person they should be. And that is very, very important. We are always thinking about a great vision and how people should be great and achieve things. And we forget to teach people the basics of what kind of person they should be, the character. And so great leaders first work on themselves. They have the discipline enough to look into themselves in the mirror, look at their strengths, look at their weaknesses, create daily programs to better themselves. They are studying, they are learning. A lot of us have finished universities, and since we enter into the world of work, if I ask now how many books you have read, many of us have not read anything. How many seminars? Oh, we spend our money, for those of you in Ghana, spend your money on funerals, on parties and things like that. If it is a seminar and you say pay 100 for it, no, this is too much. And it goes into some corporate leaders who are not even prepared to even spend money to develop their people. I was doing a training one day and I shared it with some CEOs, and one CEO I spoke to, after I spoke about the program, he asked me, okay, Sam, this is very good. When is the training? And I said, well, the training is next Friday. And he was like, oh, Friday? Friday, but the people will be working. If they go for the training on Friday, then I said, but sir, what they will get just one day and they bring to your work would be more than the day that they lost. They will multiply it. He says, no, I'm not going to do that. Self-leadership is your ability to be able to discipline yourself, to grow yourself, to work on yourself, and to be better your personality. The third dimension is humility. And here I give you another quote. F. Monod says, humility is that habitual quality whereby we live in the truth of things, the truth that we are creatures and not the creator, the truth that our life is a composite of good and evil, light and darkness, truth that in our littleness, we have been given extravagant dignity. Humility is a radical yes to the human condition. We should come to a level where we understand that we are human. No matter your titles, no matter your power, no matter your properties, no matter where you live in town, what car you drive, the bottom line is that you are human. You are not God. That understanding will let you understand that every human being should be respected, no matter your position. And that is the essence of character that is required in leadership. I was just reading one Harvard Business Review, and they look at the 4 important qualities that every successful leader, and one of this is humility. Humility and empathy. And they said these qualities do not necessarily, factor into results, but it is so crucial for inspiration. Humility is key. And the last one is courage. My definition of courage is doing it afraid. When you say you are courageous, it is not that you don't have fear. You have fear, but you still do it. You look at all the variables, and it is not easy, but you do it. John C. Maxwell says, courage makes character possible. It empowers us to do what is right in the face of fear, fatigue, or uncertainty. Character is not developed in ease and quietness. So as leaders, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have situations where you have to make hard decisions about people, choices about strategy, and sometimes you have to, do things that are difficult. And a leader of character is able to make that decision, make the call, and move the organization forward. Those are the 4 dimensions. So you need to ask yourself certain questions if you're going to assess your own leadership. The first one is, am I the same person no matter who I am with? Testing your character. Some of us, when we are with Mr. A, the color is blue. When we are Mr. B, the color is red. When we are Mr. C, the color turns yellow. Okay, that is not consistency. Character, true character has to be consistent no matter who is watching, no matter where you are, every time, every day. That is a person of character. People respect you for that. Choices. Do I make decisions that are best for others, even when another choice would have been better for me? Very crucial. Very, very important. You're going to make salary decisions as a corporate person. Our political leaders, unfortunately, in our part of the world, they don't pass this test. Every decision they make has to be the one that benefits them, not the one that benefits the other person. That is poor character. Credit. Am I quick to recognize others for their efforts and contribution to my success? Now, you heard Donald Trump. He's a great one. He knows everything. He's the greatest job creator, and nobody knows like him. He knows ISIS more than all the generals. He's never been to war, but he knows that. Now, true character is giving credit to others where credit is due. I hope we are still on time. So a few more slides just to go through. Character is an inside job. There's always a tension, a debate inside you. The outside world, wants you to look bigger. You have to demonstrate you're the boss and show out. But deep down within your heart, you know that this may not be right. So there are two voices, the inside voice and the outside voice. The inner voice wants you to be bigger on the inside, wants your person, the inside person, to be strong, because that's where character sits. It's not the outside things. These days, people talk about personal branding. And when they talk about personal branding, what they're talking about is what you wear, the color of your shirt, and the glasses you wear, and how you cut your hair, and some things like that. And that is how they see it. No, true personal branding, true image is not about the outside. It's the who you are in the inside. The outer voice wants you to be bigger outside. This voice battle, the one that wins will determine what character you are, whether it's the voice on the inside or the voice on the outside. And the voice on the inside is one of the 4 critical tools that God, the creator, has given to human beings that no other creature has. And that quality is called conscience. Every one of us has a conscience. And that conscience speaks to us whenever we are doing things, whenever we are treating people, whenever we are making decisions. And that conscience will speak to you and say, this is right or this is not right. But sometimes we override it and do the wrong thing. The outer voice encourages you to appear bigger on the outside and often at the expense of the inside. This is where character sits, all right? Now, so how do we develop the character within? 3 things. The first thing is to practice self-leadership that we've talked about. The second thing is to embrace values, good values. And the third thing is to value people. I'll go through them quickly and we'll close. All right? Embrace good values. A few questions you should ask yourself. Where are your non-negotiables as a leader, as a person? You have to set some standards for yourself and say to yourself, there are certain lines that we will not cross. Now, Joshua said, I work for EcoBank, and I worked for EcoBank for almost 20 years. When I joined EcoBank, we were in 5 countries. We had just a team of about 8, at the group office, and we set the whole ambition of conquering Africa and becoming a Pan-African bank. And our CEO at that time was called Arnold Ekwe, and his principle was that in EcoBank, we don't give bribes for business. We have to set a standard that we are going to set up a bank that is built on values. So we went to some countries and we stayed there because in some countries, before you even invest in the country, you have to see the president whose brother-in-law is a minister of finance and who has a list of people that you have to give shares to without paying. So they'll tell you 50% of the shares have to go to indigenous people. And then they'll give you a list of people to give them the shares. And they don't pay for it. They'll say, you bring the money, give the shares to 50% to the people, or give us money before we give you the license. And his philosophy was, no, we are going to put money in your country and we should pay you again for it. It doesn't work. And this was a very high standard for a lot of African businesses, but he insisted on that. And he told every country head, if you're going to do business and somebody asks for your bribe, tell them that this is beyond me. I have to go to my head office. So I have to call my head office or maybe arrange for you to talk to my group CEO. And he says, once you tell them that, it's dead because they don't want anybody to know they are taking bribes. Okay, so set your standard, your non-negotiables. What lines will you refuse to cross? What will you stand for? Has anything changed in those standards? Is there anything you would add to those standards? Is there anything you would remove from them? Constantly evaluate your values. It's very, very important. Number two, practice self-leadership. Once again, this is something that we can discuss for a whole day. Very important. What must you do to put yourself in a better position to manage your decisions and follow through them? Discipline. Daily discipline. As John Maxwell would say, leadership does not develop in a day, it develops daily. It's a daily activity. So if you want to see the character of the person, see what is on his agenda. What do you do from morning, in afternoon, in the evening, as a person to yourself? It's very important. And the third element, value people. What can you do every day to express value to another person, especially people you don't have affinity for or don't especially like? There may be people who you don't like. It's natural. You meet some people, you don't really like them. But are you able to value them as human beings? How do you value your team? Do you respect them as human beings and give each one of them an opportunity and a chance? The highest purpose of leadership is to add value to others. The purpose of leadership is not to add value to ourselves as leaders. And a lot of us miss this. And we are more concerned about us and what we can get rather than what we can do to others. So these are some of the things to do to be able to, develop leadership, your character. And each one of us have defects. And a few more questions to assess when you find, some defect in your character. What area of your life are you grappling with? You don't have a grip of. Why do you believe this is happening to you? What have you done to overcome this challenge of self-discipline? And what is the highest thing you have done to improve yourself or your circumstances? This is a constant exercise you have to do whenever, and each one of us will find some challenging things in our lives, some defective things in our life, and we need to be able to go through this process and ask ourselves the hard question. I'm falling short in this area. What can I do to improve it? Every day, all right? So in conclusion, let me say that the final word in all that we have said is credibility. As a leader, that word is what you need. You need credibility. It is credibility that will create authority. And that credibility comes from integrity, which is character. If your people buy into you, then they will want what you want because they trust you. And they will align with your vision, even if it requires changes. So good character is what builds trust. Credibility is so important in leadership and is built on the foundation of character. I want to thank all of you who have listened to me and hope that these few words have, added a few ideas to our arsenal as leaders, and that we understand that character is a very important element in leadership. It is actually the foundation of leadership. Without it, we cannot lead, because people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. So first ask yourself where you are. Do people believe in you? Is your character good enough? Will people, and ask yourself, you know, if you were the other person, will you lead? Will you follow you? Will you follow you if you were the one to follow? Thank you very much, Joshua and the team.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. This is great. Wow, this is good stuff. I've really been blessed. Please, if you have any question, you can unmute yourself and ask. I think someone asked whilst you were delivering that when you shared about the 15 diseases from Pope Francis, and the person was saying that you should explain the number 3 of again.
Well, mental and emotional petrification, you know, it's when you're so tired in your mind, you have so much emotional challenges and baggage in your mind that you become so heartless. You know, I mean, we saw the video about Trump, and you know, this guy will go every way to crush you. He has no room for sympathy. That is what it is. Your mind is so charged, emotionally negative, that, you see, the Bible talks about love your neighbor as yourself. Whenever you see somebody mistreating somebody, that person, the fundamental thing is that person deeply, emotionally hates him or herself. They cannot accept themselves, they don't esteem themselves, they don't value themselves. That is it. That is emotional petrification. You hate yourself so much that you cannot love another person. And then it makes you heartless.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel, for that explanation. I think it's well understood. Please, if you have any question, you can unmute yourself, and you can, if you are also at work, and you can type it.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Yeah. Samuel, no?
Yes, Sam.
Sam, okay. Thank you, Sam. I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks for your wonderful presentation. So actually, what I would like to know that leadership. So what are the there are so many attributes and so many factors to influence the leadership. Which is the best things carry on for good leadership?
What is there?
So there are so many attributes to become good leadership. Which is best attributes leadership must have?
Okay, so what is the attribute that I would esteem the most high?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, for me, it's character, it's credibility, it's integrity. Because as, I mean, John C. Maxwell has a book, The 21 Laws of Leadership. And one of the laws of leadership, he says, is the law of buy-in. And the law of buy-in simply says that people buy into the leader before their vision. A lot of the time, we leaders are looking at vision, we want to change the world, but you need people to help you to change the world. But if you're not a person of integrity, if they don't believe in you, if they don't trust you, if your character is not good, nobody will follow you. And so for me, integrity is fundamental. And that is what we're talking about.
So that we have to remold ourselves for follow the proper discipline, for follow the proper character, like integrity, stable, it's like that. But how we can develop all the sort of things uh, to show the good leadership?
How can we set up things so that?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the last bit of the question.
See, so like we are talking about so many things, but it's difficult to develop our leadership capacity. What would good mechanism or tools to develop the good leadership capacity?
Well, yeah, so I think the first thing for us to understand is that you have to lead yourself first before you can lead others. So if we understand that, that is crucial, that self-leadership is the first thing, then it starts with looking at yourself in the mirror and asking yourself, this woman in the mirror, why should anybody follow me? Now, so once you ask that question, it's self-reflection into your character, into your strengths, into your weaknesses. And you want to make yourself valuable. And so you determine that for people to follow me, I need to make myself valuable by adding value to myself. Because the highest purpose of leadership is to add value to others. But you cannot add value that you don't have. Okay? So you have to add value to yourself first. And so start with self-reflection, start with an evaluation of your strengths and your weaknesses, and there are tools for that. And once you realize where you have strengths, build on those strengths, and where you have the weaknesses, look for opportunities to work on the weaknesses, and look for help. Look for help, of course, read books, go to the various seminars that would address your needs, but also look for help. Look for coaches. I mean, we have several coaches. I'm a leadership coach. There are several coaches. We offer coaching services, and get somebody who would help you. Look for mentors. Learn to follow, because that is also part of the self-leadership. Because when you learn to follow, then you can learn to know how to get others to follow you. So it all starts with you, knowing yourself, looking for your weaknesses and your strengths, and then looking for ways to improve upon those things. And there are many, many tools that you can look at. And each one of us is different. Somebody may be strong in one area, another may be weak in another area. So look at yourself and build the discipline to grow yourself. Personal growth, very important.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. Please, if you have any other question.
Please, I have a question.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Ayim. This is very educative and insightful. My question is, how do you manage, or how do you work with a leader who is corrupt, or a leader whose integrity is questionable? You know, as you were talking about EcoBank, you had a leader who was very whose credibility you can stand for at any time. But in the case where you have the opposite, what do you do?
Well, it's a difficult situation to find ourselves in. In my view, there are two options. The first one is try to communicate in the most decent, depending upon the levels. I mean, if you are the boss, it's easier, okay? But and when we talk leadership, it's not just about the position. So you can actually be at a lower position and you have to lead somebody who is up, who is then corrupt. Or you can be the one who is the boss and then somebody who is under you who is corrupt. So if you are the boss and there's somebody following you is corrupt, or you are the subordinate and your boss is corrupt, the first principle is go to the person, talk to the person. It is important, always important, to communicate, talk to the person about the behavior and how it is impacting the organization and how it's impacting people and the need for that behavior to change. And it's like all other behaviors that, you know, I mean, I've had situations with bosses, not in area of corruption, but in certain areas of character, which was not helpful to the organization. And I booked for an appointment to see the CEO and sit with him and try to say, boss, you know, there are a few things. I know that you are at the top and people find it difficult to come to you. And, you know, the things that are going on that are not helping the organization. You have a great vision, you have great direction, you have that, this, that, you know, some of them, they like the ego. So yes, find it a bit if it is true. And even if it is not, find a way to say it in a way, start from the positives that you can find, and then bring the aspects that you think are not good and come with suggestions of how to deal with it. Now, when you have done that, the response will tell you whether you want to stay in that organization or you want to quit. So you have two options. You try to change the behavior from within, and if you have no way of changing it, that behavior can affect you. So maybe that place is not for you. And sometimes you get to a point where you have to quit. I know that it's difficult if you're a worker and so on, and the situation is difficult and you don't have any other job, but you have to choose between your personal integrity and that situation. So that's what I would say. Address it personally, directly, find the best way to address it if you can. And if there is no other way to address it, then maybe you have to move on to another boss or leader.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we'll take one last question and then we can end the session. So if you have any question, you can unmute yourself and kindly ask. If you have any question, you can type it in the chat box and I'll read it out. Is there anyone?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Samuel, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very insightful. I wanted to ask a question. You mentioned earlier about the 4 dimensions of character, and that was authenticity, self-leadership, humility, and courage. The first 3 are well explained, but I want you to throw more light on the courage. How can we build ourselves courage and all that? I want you to help me with that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You see, leadership is about choices and decision making. And so it gets to a time when you have to make hard decisions as a leader. Now, let me give 2 examples, or maybe 1, because elections are coming. So I don't want to give any example that would suggest that I'm campaigning for somebody. When President Kufuor was supposed to make a decision on whether or not to go HIPIC, the record is that all the cabinet ministers, the finance ministers, and everybody else around him said it was a bad idea. He looked at the evidence and he decided that, yes, I've heard all of you, all the advisors, but this is what I want to do. I will take the responsibility for it. I can see the dangers, I can see the issues, I can see all these things, but having looked at all the factors, I feel that, and that feeling, intuition is another important element of courage, because sometimes you have to make a decision that you don't really have the hard evidence, and there may be dangers, but you still have to go. Now, if you don't have character, you just give up, okay? But strong character, courage requires that you make those tough decisions. That is what I mean by courage. And great leaders have this courage. All over, history, there are situations of hard decisions where you have to make a choice. Both sides are tough, but what do you do? Courage. It's called doing it afraid. Okay, you have some doubt, some challenges, some fear in your heart, but to be able to change the world, to be able to make a difference, it requires courage. And that is what I mean by courage. People of character have courage. They stand also for their principles and their values. Like the question that was asked, if somebody who is your leader is corrupt and you are in the organization and you know this is wrong, it's against your standard, it takes courage to be able to go to the person and point out that, boss, this is not right. It takes courage. And if you don't have that courage, you will just go by and accept it and go along and play ball with what you know deep inside that it's wrong. So that's what I mean by courage.
Wow. Thank you very much. I hope, Emmanuel, you got it. That was a good explanation.
Yes, please, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Ayim. This has really been a great time with you, and it has been an impactful time. As you said, truly, character is very critical in our leadership because that is the foundation. And if the foundation, as a good book, the Bible says, that if the foundation is being destroyed, what can the righteous do? What can the leader do if he doesn't have a good foundation? It won't take long. When you study history, most leaders, don't finish well because they didn't have a good character. And so thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you so much, it's a great privilege to have you on because I know you have a very busy schedule, but you still made time to, have this discussion with us. And this is live on Facebook and on YouTube. A lot of people have connected and they are being blessed by this training. God richly bless you, and I really thank you for your time. Thank you all to that joining.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share. This is something that you and I share, a passion to develop leaders. At the Center for Transformational Leadership, every week we also have similar programs on Saturdays at 7. It's also live, so you can also connect and join us. And those in organizations, we also do training for organizations in leadership and personal development and coaching. So, feel free to join us and get in touch. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time. I appreciate the learning. I appreciate the questions. And thank you once again, Joshua, for the opportunity.
You're welcome. So thank you all very much. This is Bonnie Leadership Consult, and we do trainings to us. This same thing with Mr. Samuel is with Center for Transformational Leadership, Bonnie Leadership Consult too. We do outsourcing, trainings for organizations. So no matter the training you want for your leaders, you get in touch with us, and then we'll provide you with the resource persons. And so thank you all very much. This is a good time. I think it is not the time. This time has not been wasted at all, as Mr. Ayim said to the boss. This time has not been wasted. The recordings will be made available, so you can get in touch with me, and I'll let you have it. It's also on YouTube, so you can watch it again. It's on Facebook. God bless you all. We'll meet. Our next training will be in January. So do have a good Christmas and stay focused and stay blessed. See you next year. Bye-bye to everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.